Are we ready?
I'm ready. You ready? Let's
you,
do this.
you usually say three, two, one, but here we
Three.
go.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
All right. Tonight's artist had to make a deal in order to do this album. Goddard Lieberson, the president of Columbia Records, told him that he had to make a different album first and that he would let him do this experimental album after he did the more traditional album. He had to do Gone with the Wind before he could do Time Out. He wanted to use Joan Miro's painting as the cover, and he couldn't. He had to use Neil Fujita's painting as the cover. So he had to make a lot of exceptions just in order to make this album. They thought it was going to be a dud. Tonight's album, number 11 on our countdown, none other than the Dave Brubeck Quartet, Time Out from 1959.
Let's get into it. I'm going to start.
You're going to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to take 5. And I'm going to play a music clip. A music clip that I wanted to hear based on some other things that were happening in our worlds today. We've ended up agreeing that why not kick it off with this? I want to hear the first minute-ish of none other than Take 5 by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. So let's hit it. Y'all have to go listen to the rest of it for yourself. Because, man, when you start to get into what this album really is, Take 5, Time Out, all of this, Dave jumps into this, as you said in the opener, some unique time measurements. This is all musical stuff. Y'all figured that out. But the fact of the matter remains, he chose an experimental tempo in a lot of these songs. And it is so cool to me to hear him very gently as the intro. And then you've got Paul Desmond, who slowly brings in that melody, and then they just keep this cool vibe going for the entire song and really for the album. Make no mistakes, though, boys. I want to tell you this. The Jerry Mulligan Dave Brubeck. When I listened to Jerry Mulligan play this, it was at Newport. Last set is what it was called. Dave Brubeck Quartet with Jerry Mulligan. I love to hear the Barry sax play this just as much as the alto sax of Paul Desmond. So to me, this is the song to kick off this week's episode.
That take right there, Take 5, made it in the top 40 as a hit single.
Yes. So
the experimental album, that clip right there, that song is the banger on this album. They're all bangers, but that one in particular.
Yeah.
It's in 5/4 time. And last week in our introduction of this week's album, I said, May the 4th is no longer going to be Star Wars Day in my house. It's going to be Dave Brubeck Day.
Yes.
So
yes.
So Drew, I'm curious if you don't want to play a section of Jerry Mulligan.
Nope. I want y'all to go listen to that album yourselves, because that is, once you hear the whole album, I text Matt earlier when I listened to it, it brought me to tears. I love the Barry sax. There's something just beautiful about it. Anyways.
Well,
it's called The Last Set at Newport. I'll put the cover up right now.
Not only that, but it's Jerry Mulligan. I mean, it'd be different if it was somebody else playing the Barry sax.
Right.
It's Jerry Mulligan, and we've talked about Jerry Mulligan. We've got to know Jerry Mulligan, so it's cool
Yeah.
to hear him on that particular album play a piece that we're so in love with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, which one of you guys has got the next clip?
Go ahead, Dad. 'Cause
I'm good.
I really want to talk about it.
Yeah, the first track, Blue Rondo a la Turk, please. Starting at 140-ish and playing maybe for 45 minutes.
For the rest of the 6-minute 45-second song? That
Yeah.
sounds about fair for you.
Yeah.
All right, minute 40. Here we go. I'm going to cut it there.
Oh, come on.
Y'all can go listen to it for yourselves. Trust you me, you're going to want to. Blue Rotunda a la Turk.
That's just sweet. They're just so cool. And the way those other instruments come into play. And then you hear the bass just setting the rhythm along with the piano setting a rhythm and that cool sax, just sweetness coming out. I read today or yesterday or so about Blue Rondo, and actually there was a 1980s band called Blue Rondo. I did not go online to check and see what that music was, but Blue Rondo in a Turkish style. And you guys can talk more about the rhythm and the I know 4/4 barely, 2/4, 3/4, but I don't know 9/8 and 16/5 and all that stuff. But what I understand is Brubeck and his group was in Turkey, and they heard street musicians playing these rhythms, and he said, I want to do that. And then one of the guys said to him, the rhythm to us, what the blues is to you. This rhythm to us is what the blues is to you.
That was a perfect clip that you picked because it showed the difference between the 9/8 time signature and the 4/4 time signature that they go into. The 9/8 time signature usually is 3, 3, and 3. It would be almost like a very fast waltz. A waltz is always done in 3. It's a 3-step dance, and the waltz. But 9/8 time would be divided up 3, 3, and 3. So it'd be almost like a fast waltz. But the way that Brubeck does it is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you can almost, I mean, the melody just comes right out in your head when you say it that fast. Da 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 da. And then when they shift into that 4/4 time to get that almost bluesy feeling, like you said, the Turks said that it's your blues to us. It's just Paul Desmond on the saxophone. He could have tried to play a gajillion notes in that solo. He was so tasteful in the solo. His sound is so beautiful, so recognizable to me. And honestly, I don't think he ever played outside of Dave Brubeck, did he?
It's interesting that most of these musicians, if you look through his discography, most of them hung out with Dave Brubeck. So I don't think he ventured at all far from it. I meant to look that up, but Paul played pretty consistent with Dave.
With Dave. And so you hear Paul, you know it's Paul, you know it's Dave Brubeck, because you don't have to think, oh, well, is this, you know, I don't, is he playing with Jerry Mulligan? Is he, you know, it's, you know.
Imagine being Joe Morello, Paul Desmond, and of course you guys have been playing together, and Eugene Wright. And Dave walks in and says, hey, drummer, we're going to have some fun time with this. Joe, here's what I want. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's what I want you to drum out, and then we're just going to stop and go to 4/4 time.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Pump the brakes. Dave, come on. No, remember what we heard in the streets in Turkey? We want to do that.
Yeah.
And then the record company says, no. No. That's a
No.
Big Ten no good, buddy.
Yeah. Because people won't get it. They won't understand it. That's why it's a concept album for Brubeck. It's experimental. I said concept. It's experimental. And people loved it. People dug it.
And you've said this over and over again. It's 1959.
Um,
The golden era of jazz. That 1 year, Shebangin' came out.
yeah.
And this album drops as well. So,
Okay. Is it my turn to pick?
yes.
Okay. What did I tell you I wanted?
You wanted
the
a song.
Strange Meadowlark, song number 2 on the album, starting at about 140, 145. Is that what I asked for?
I had 145. Yes, sir.
Yep. I'm not crying. You're crying.
I just want to keep it going. I'm sorry, but I'm going to shut it off and ruin it for everybody.
Yeah.
Strange Meadowlark.
Wow.
So Strange Meadowlark starts off with no standard time. It's just Brubeck on the piano. There's no time signature. He's just he's basically riffing it with no standard time. So he's got the ability to play what he feels or play what sounds good. And then slowly you hear the drums come in to get that rhythm, get that time set, and then Paul Desmond comes in on the sax. You know, I'm mad at this album. First of all, I'm extremely mad at it because it's only 39 minutes. It needs to be 4 hours and 39 minutes before I've had enough.
Yeah.
It just now and almost every time I heard the song throughout this week, we listened to it, I felt weight lifted off my shoulders when I heard Paul come in. You're walking through a meadow. You see the meadow lark out there, and he's just hanging around, just flying. And that's what I get when with Paul Desmond comes in on the sax right there. You relax. It's a beautiful summer day, and you're out just relaxing and see the lark flying around. It's just. We didn't like this album one bit. We hated this album.
You know, when that track started and then the sax come in, my sense was a flower is blooming, and you could just feel the petals just spreading out to take in the sun and the warmth and the breeze. A flower in bloom or blooming.
Spring is sprung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're walking through that meadow, and it smells fresh and new. And
Matt, I don't recall if you said it when we lost Dad for a moment and you were talking. Paul has a very unique sound. You know that it's him when he starts to play. And his sound on an alto sax reminds me about the man that was referred to as the Sound, Stan Getz, on a tenor sax. They have that very easy moving, easy flowing, easy to listen to sound, which I know you'll tell us in a little bit the jazz genre of this album. So I think it's important to note he has that sound to him, and he's been given the freedom by Dave to do what he needs to do. So let's get into some information on this.
All right, here we go.
Save me.
Just like I've said for the past 89 weeks, whatever you do, do it to jazz. You'll hear coming up in just a few minutes on our weekend music. That's pretty much what we do. We listen to jazz all week long. It's become a lifestyle for us just to have jazz on. Of course, this week we are talking about the Dave Brubeck Quartet, if you haven't figured that out by now. The album Time Out from 1959. I spoke of the artwork cover briefly in the introduction. I absolutely love the artwork cover. It was an amazing pick anyways. I'm not sure if Joan Miro's painting would have been better, but actually he used Jones on the next 3 Time albums. What is it? Time, Take 5 More. It's something along the time.
Countdown, Time in Outer Space, Time Changes, and Time In.
There you go.
Those are the other 3.
Perfect. But I absolutely love the artwork. Any other thoughts on the artwork from you two? Dad?
I agree. I thoroughly like the artwork. It's an abstraction.
Yes.
And colorful, very colorful. So,
Yeah.
So
the form's geometric as well.
Fujita, the painter of the artwork, was a Pablo Picasso fan. So he painted a lot in Picasso style. It reminds me a lot of Pablo Picasso. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to the next slide, the jazz style for the day. This style has nothing to do with the album that we're talking about.
I just popped that open, man. I'm looking at the slide going, could you have anything more direct opposite of one another? Sorry, go ahead. Jazz style for the day.
That's all right. We're going in alphabetical order off the wiki page, jazz genres. And this week is free jazz. Now, I know that we've covered this style before. Free jazz is improvised music without any specific rules. By itself, free improvisation can be any genre. It isn't necessarily jazz. Free jazz musicians make the use of free improvisation to alter, extend, or break down jazz convention, often by discarding fixed chord changes, tempos, melodies, or phrases. So, the last not the last 2 weeks, but the last 4 weeks, we covered Ornette Coleman and Eric Dolphy,
yes.
Both free jazz musicians. Believe it or not, those videos are some of our most watched
Yes, they are.
YouTube videos. And our very most watched YouTube video is Peter Brotzman, Machine Gun.
Yes.
And I don't understand why, but that's for a different discussion. So
all my free jazz fans out there, keep on rocking the big world, baby.
Hey, I'm getting a taste for it. I really am. But Brotzman is still for me.
Yeah.
No.
Matt, because you've mentioned it, I'm going to put up a traditional chord chart that we would use in jazz music so you can see my trumpet chord. I'm going to take this off of iReal Pro and dump it on just so you can see what we're talking about when you say disregarding the fixed chord changes.
Mm-hmm.
A slide right now just shows take 5 from a progression that we would use in jazz on Sunday nights. So
yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, and that way, if you look at it, you realize chunk those chords out the window. Don't use that.
Well,
we're going to do free jazz. We're going to improvise over something.
Yeah, something else, something completely different. You've all been in a situation where you've heard someone say, "Hey, we all need to be on the same sheet of music," right? Let's all get on the same page. Let's all get on the same sheet of music.
Are we doing corporate jargon now?
Well, it is corporate, but you can say it in your daily life too. Hey, are we all on the same sheet of music? Are we all ready to go? Let's go. About face, move out here, Cedar Point, here we come. That's why everyone needs to be on the same sheet of music for those chord changes. All right, break.
Jazz, chunk it out the window. Next slide, please.
Next slide, where you can get it. Oh, we're going off the rails. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to get to the discussion. Where you can get it, of course, it's on all the major streaming platforms. And of course, that we're talking now again about Dave Brubeck Quartet. All the major streaming platforms, you can listen to it. We prefer you go to your local record store and buy a local. I did put a quote from Dave on the bottom of this slide. Jazz stands for freedom. It's supposed to be the voice of freedom. Get out there and improvise and take chances and don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Leave that to the classical musicians. There's a lot to unpack in that quote. Jazz stands for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I could have just ended it right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't you?
Get out there and improvise.
Yeah.
You can drop it right there. Take chances. You can drop it right there.
Life is all about improvisation. We didn't think 2 years ago we were going to be doing a YouTube channel, and now we're no longer improvising because we kind of got it down a little bit. But it's full of.
You never know what Dad's going to say, so you got to brace yourself.
True. Leave that to the classical musicians. Perfection. Leave it to the classical musician. It has to be perfect. Jazz doesn't have to be perfect. Boom. That's all I'm going to say.
Love it.
All right. Let's move on to the next slide. This year in history. I see what you were saying.
Yeah.
You fixed it?
Yeah.
1959. I see. Thank you, Dad. You tried to tell me, and I was watching the football game.
It's okay.
1959, the year in history. Not 1930. All right, 1959. As long as Drew's got it fixed on the slide. 1959, the Motown record label was formed. So you think of all those great Motown artists that you love to listen to. 1959 is that year. Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper die in a plane crash. And I believe that's the day that music died, right?
Yeah.
The music died. Bye, Miss America. Bye. Mattel's Barbie makes her debut in 1959. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Aunt Barbie. 1959, also, as Drew alluded earlier, the golden year of jazz music. We have albums like Kind of Blue, Ornette Coleman's Tomorrow is the Question, Jimmy Smith's The Sermon. Now, we haven't covered two of those albums yet, but Jimmy Smith's The Sermon, I'll take that album any day of the week, any time of the day. I will listen to The Sermon. I would be hard-pressed to find a jazz album from 1959 that I don't think I would love.
They're all brilliant.
They're all brilliant. I don't know what was in the water in 59 for these guys, but golden year of jazz music. Randy Travis, Magic Johnson, and Emeril Lagasse are born. I'm not really a huge Randy Travis fan. I do enjoy his music. I'm not really a Magic Johnson fan. I do enjoy watching some basketball, but I am a huge Emeril Lagasse fan. I love to watch his show, love to cook his food. So, bang.
I'm a huge Jimmy Smith fan. I wanted to add a couple of things because this is important to me for 1959. And I'm going to tell you what we were talking about earlier. Matt had 1930 on the slide. So I look at the year in history and I jump to 1930 and I'm starting to pull facts and I'm like, we just talked about this last week. So then I had to shift gears. Number 49 and number 50. Alaska and Hawaii get brought into the United States in 1959. And as a fan of food in Emeril Lagasse, Little Caesars opens in Garden City, Michigan. So, pizza.
The other funny story was Dad emailed me and said they were born in 1930 maybe, and I'm like, no, they died. That's what I'm going to get at on the slideshow. He didn't tell me, go fix your slide, dum-dum. He tried to be nice about it, and so
we got it fixed though.
Yeah, we got it fixed. All right. Let's move on to the timeline slide for Dave. Dave was born in 1920. In 1942, he was drafted into the military during, of course, World War II. The military where he formed the Wolf Pack. Now, interesting story, and if you don't mind me, give me a sidetrack here. He volunteered to play the piano at a show one evening. It was a huge success. They offered him a job in the military music department. I'm not even sure they had military bands, but they weren't a tight unit. He met Paul Desmond in the military, and they started working together in the military. So when I say he formed the Wolfpack in 42, him and Paul Desmond were together since 1942. I just found that it's simply amazing. I mean, personally, I'm an Army musician, a veteran musician myself. Some of those bonds that you make with fellow musicians from the military are lifelong bonds. Me and my friend Alex, God rest his soul, he passed away. We would talk a couple of times a month after military. 20 years after the military, he'd still call me out of the blue and just want to chit chat like we were best friends. It's just amazing. So I can only imagine that Dave and Paul Desmond had that kind of friendship since 42. 1951 is when the quartet was formed, the Dave Brubeck Quartet, and of course they were together until Dave passed. They were still making music. The Time magazine cover for Dave Brubeck was in 1954. And another sidetrack on that for me, little rabbit hole that I was reading. I don't know if you guys read this or not, but Duke Ellington came to knock on Dave's door when he had the Time magazine had just come out, and Paul was embarrassed. He was not heartbroken, but he was embarrassed, and he looked up at Duke and he said, "It should have been you on the cover." So we're talking, Dave's only the second jazz musician to be on the cover of Time magazine, second only to Pops, who we talked about last week, being the very first jazz musician to make the cover of Time magazine. So I just found that interesting. I just wanted to highlight it. It's
and last week we also talked about in 1956, Duke himself was then on Time magazine. And if I can interject here, so far in history, 5 jazz musicians have made it to the cover of Time magazine. Obviously, Dave Brubeck being number 2. The first one being Pops in 1945, almost a decade later before Brubeck gets there. 2 years following that is Duke Ellington. Almost 8 years later, Thelonious Monk makes it. And then it's, 36 years? 26 years, I'm sorry. I can math 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. It's Wynton Marsalis in 1990. That is it for jazz musicians on the cover of Time magazine. So what a prestigious place in 1954. And I did read that, and I thought, wow, what a cool thing to a tip of the hat. It should have been you, Duke. And then 2 years later, it is.
Yes. So. Yeah, to finish the timeline slide, Dave passed away in 2012, and he was actually making music up until he passed. So I'm thankful for that, at least, that he was still making music. All right, let's move on to the information slide. Some of the influences that I found, his mother was his very first piano teacher, and she was definitely an influence in his life, but I was reading in the magazine and online this week, Darius Milhaud, who was his classical piano teacher, and who, and I think it goes with the quote, "Leave that to the classical musicians to be perfect." Dave never wanted to be perfect. He only had a few lessons with Darius Milhaud, so as the classical teacher.
What did we talk about this morning about Dave in college?
Yeah. Well, it's a great. I didn't highlight it anywhere else in the slideshow, but in order for Dave to graduate the School of Music, his instructor was not going to pass him because he couldn't sight read music. Dave could not sight read. He couldn't sit down and just open up a new piece of music and sight read it and play it well. And his instructor said, based on your technique and your technical ability, your ability to play, I'll go ahead and pass you, but you have to promise me that you will never, ever teach piano. You can never be a piano teacher. So that's the only way he passed college. Otherwise, he would have failed. he would have failed out of school. I mean, the stories are so great. It's just amazing when you dig into an artist who's as much fun as Dave Brubeck is. You know, the other influence that I found was the worldly music, the Balkan and Turkish and Eurasian music that influenced him so much that, you know, we get the gold from his influences. We do. We truly get the gold. The discography, I put studio and live CDs together because the way that he recorded was a little different. But studio and live, he's got 125, and then 60 compilation CDs. So not including in that 125. So 185 total to listen to. He loved. Go ahead.
You had asked this earlier about Paul Desmond. Did he record outside? Not only did about 100 of those albums that Dave Brubeck did, Paul was in, Paul did record 19 of his own as leader, one of which was Take 10. You know, 100 albums with Dave and 19 on his own. You tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
He was that wolf pack through and through.
I'm glad you looked that up. Thank you so much. The genre for this album, Take 5, Time Out. Time Out, not Take 5, Time Out. The genre is jazz. Brubeck also did some third stream, and he also did cool jazz, cool like Snoopy.
So I wonder if Dave carried his lunch in a Snoopy lunchbox.
That's cool.
Snoopy's cool. I'm telling you. All right, a few facts about Dave.
I'm sorry, like a certain co-host here. His lunch.
It's back there. My Snoopy lunchbox is back there. It is. A few facts about Dave. His blend of jazz and classical became known as third stream. So it's because of Dave that we have the subgenre of jazz called third stream. 1996, he won his Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. I referenced that he was embarrassed by the cover of the Time magazine. And then just a fact that it just blew me away. He was married to his wife, Lola, for over 70 years.
Impressive.
Very
You don't
nice.
see that today, do you?
Hardly.
Not much.
I'm halfway there. I got another 35 to go.
There you go.
Yeah. Time Out is the first jazz album to sell over 1 million copies. Let that one sink in. They didn't even want to do the album. The studio didn't want he didn't want Dave to do the album, and it sold over 1 million copies.
Goddard said, no. We ain't doing no crazy thing like that. Do Gone with the Wind. And then we'll throw this junk out there. This big old turd.
Blue Rondo turd.
Yeah.
Sold over 1 million copies.
It actually peaked at number 2 on the Billboard. At number 2 on the Billboard. In 2011, it went double platinum. In 2009, the Time Out album won the Grammy Hall of Fame Award. So for an album that wasn't supposed to be, it sure is a banger in my book.
I never did listen to Gone with the Wind from him. So did it get washed out? Columbia said, oops, we made a mistake.
Partner, we won't question you again.
They bixed it. They bixed it.
They sure did. Final information fact, Time Out is listed as one of the 1,000 albums you must hear before you die. I agree with that.
I would put it in the top 100 before you die.
Yes, top 100. Yes, absolutely. I may even go
Don't wait
top
until
50.
999. You'll be disappointed that you waited that long.
Yes, absolutely. 6 Degrees this week. Well, of course, we've already spoken about Jerry Mulligan, and I could have used Jerry in my 6 Degrees had I done a little more research and a listening before, but I picked J.J. Johnson. So Brubeck played with J.J. Johnson on a 1956 album called Dave, J, and K at Newport.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, J.J. Johnson played with Miles on several different albums.
And it's interesting that when you said, I should have done Jerry, I hadn't even considered Jerry Mulligan until listening to the album, and then I wasn't even thinking, how do I tie? I'm like, oh yeah, you said I guess we could have used Jerry too, and I thought, huh. I fell in love with the album, and then ended up listening to more of them together. What I was going to say about JJ, because I came up with this, it seems interesting that JJ and Kai Winding are on every album together that we've looked at.
Uh-huh.
JJ and Kai. And they played on Miles together. I'm like, what is Kai Winding trombone and JJ Johnson trombone on the same albums for? I got a trombone. Why take two? Dave Brubeck has them as their 6 degrees. And then I saw the one that I had noted, I figured Dad might have, Roy Haynes. Roy
As
Haynes
another-
was my 6 degrees.
Okay. All right. That actually does it for my portion of the slideshow. Thank you very much for letting me do that. This is a great time for a commercial because my voice is warmed up. In case you're not aware, we are using the Jazzwise magazine top 100 albums that shook the world from 2022. We are counting down from 100, and we are currently on number 11. Next week, we are in the top 10, my friends. You guys have stuck around with us for 89 90 episodes so far. Thank you so much for sticking around. For the subscribers, thank you so much. For our Patreon fans and our OnlyFans, thank you guys as well.
That's funny. And I can't reiterate, because Matt, we have already gone ahead. We've done this in our personal journey. Holy cow, what a lineup coming in the, well, even the top 15 has been just banger after shebanger after triple shebanger. So
yeah. Well, my voice is warmed up, so let me finish, and then I'm going to shut up. This week for Dave Brubeck, Quartet, Timeout from 1959. There's no question. If you haven't figured it out by now, how excited I am about the album. It's a 10, it's a 12, it's a 15 out of 10 for me.
It's a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3.
Yes, it is.
That's
I'm
great.
freaking losing it.
It's a 10 for me. All right, I'm done. Somebody else talk.
Good.
Dad?
Well, I'll follow up with that because every rating area that I have to score, I came up with 10. 10, 10, 10. I thought, is that possible? But it is. I love this album, so I gave it a very solid 10. I could not think of any one of those areas that I would not give it a 10. So there you have it. I'm at 10 all the way.
I think that's good to note. After all these 90 weeks, 89 weeks of doing this, we've used Jerry Coker's kind of info. What are we listening for? Why are we listening for?
The craftsmanship, the awareness, the creativity, and the spirit of the album. The spirit.
And Dad's
And then-
favorite question is what drove us to this fifth one. So how did that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And so we go to the emotion part of it. How did it make us feel? And Dad, I agree with you. It hit all the criteria at 10 all the way down, all 5 of them. So I came up with a 10 also. So this album has gotten a 10 from all 3 of us for every bit of the reasons. And the songs that we picked were kind of where we were at with that. I think the fact that Blue Rondo stuck out to all 3 of us, there's a reason for that, both musically and emotionally. Strange Meadowlark, another one. So all of these songs, for some reason, just continued to resonate with all of us. Pardon me, with all of us.
Yeah,
Discuss, what'd you think?
that's pretty interesting as well because when we were talking about the tracks, all 3 of us were right there, and that doesn't happen very often. Occasionally, one or the other of us will want that track, but then we have a backup. So
Yeah. Okay, track 1. Okay, they picked that. Track 2, they picked that. Track 3, track 4. Okay, I got all 7 tracks. We can play them all.
yeah,
Seriously, you could have picked any track anywhere in, and we could have found something to discuss about it. That's how cool this album actually is.
Yeah.
You know, we're coming off of 2 weeks of very, very, very long albums. You know, Duke Ellington was 3 hours and 50 minutes. Louis Armstrong was 4 hours and 50 minutes. So we, for the last 2 weeks, had just a whole buffet in our ears for the whole week. And then you shrink it down and you got 39 minutes to listen to an album. That's why I said at the beginning of the episode, the album is just too short for me.
Yep.
It could have been an hour and 39 minutes, and I would still want more. But of course, my score reflects otherwise because solid 10.
We have a lot of other choices with Brubeck, don't we?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Drew, you and I talked about an album this morning, The Jazz Impressions of New York.
New York.
Oh my gosh. First of all, we could play clips off of that album and it would sound, you'd know it was the Dave Brubeck Quartet.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Dave Brubeck Quartet. I went ahead and listened to Bossa Nova USA from 2012. And then Drew, tell him about the Impressions of Japan.
Phenomenal. You know, we were talking about that this morning. We talk on Tuesday mornings and got a chance to talk with Dad too. You listen to the Impressions in New York and then flipped it over to Japan. Oh my goodness. Every one of the songs, it's like I could sit and listen to this album over. And when we get into my weekend music, I'll tell you that I've listened to so much stuff this week from Dave, it'll blow your mind. And of course, then you hear Jerry Mulligan playing with him. I'm like, oh man, I got a whole nother week's worth of music to listen to. And it's always with the Dave Brubeck Quartet. 1951, he and Paul started the Dave Brubeck Quartet. There wasn't many drummers or bass players that fluctuated in or out, but Paul Desmond and Dave Brubeck were pretty consistent year after year after year. So you know the sound and feel you're going to get.
Well, and we also said that it's not George Russell, New York, New York.
Nope.
You know, that album actually takes you to New York. You feel like you're walking down the street. Impressions of Japan and Impressions of New York are...
They're Paul Desmond and Dave Brubeck's impressions,
yes.
which was cool jazz and smooth, easy listening.
Yes. So...
yeah.
So,
oh, man.
A quick question. So, is cool jazz is on the west coast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he's playing cool, smooth jazz in New York, or Impressions of New York.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
They have a sound. They have a style.
Yeah.
And it's undoubtedly their style. Matt,
So-
you're pondering something.
Well, it's always funny because I love putting on my album on iTunes and letting it finish and seeing what comes up next. So for me, this week, it's so funny because there was 2 or 3 different artists that would come up next. I either got Wayne Shorter's Footprints that would come up after the album, or I got Miles Davis Nefertiti. And it was almost like clockwork. One of those 2 songs was going to come up. Today, when I finished the album, Let It Go, Vince Guaraldi came up, the Vince Guaraldi band.
Okay.
And Vince Guaraldi wrote the theme music for Snoopy. Yeah.
Snoopy's cool.
And Snoopy's cool. So I just found that interesting. I always love, like I said, to finish the album and see what iTunes is going to throw in, like, oh, hey, if you like this, you may like this. So Footprints by Wayne Shorter, come on. I mean, come on. Nefertiti kind of got on my nerves after the first 6 times coming on.
Right.
Finish the album, but then Vince Guaraldi, come on, it's just so fun.
Birth of the Cool came on this week a couple of times. One of the songs or more, and then today when I finished the album, Sentimental Mood, John Coltrane and Duke Ellington. I'm like, they're forcing this on me.
Yes,
I'm not going to stop it. I mean, if I get to my destination, I'll leave it running in the car just so that I can finish the song. Nothing wrong with Sentimental Mood from those 2. So
I think we can all agree that Brubeck Quartet is very, very recognizable. If it comes on and you don't have the artwork or anything else in front of you, you're going to be able to pick out, this is Dave Brubeck Quartet.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Especially this album. Yeah.
Especially this album. I think we can all agree that we would recommend this album to a very first-time jazz listener. This would be the biscuits and gravy for a first time listener. Right?
What for? What for do you have to bring up biscuits and gravy? What's this?
For the first time listener, hey, I've never heard jazz before. What should I listen to? This may be one of the first picks that I tell them.
I might go as far as saying the time is irrelevant. 5/4/9/8, 11/16. It doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
Just listen to it, and it's an appreciative. You don't have to have reverence. It doesn't have to be listened respectively. You turn it on and you go, this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It almost draws you in, though, to listen reverently. That's the thing about it. There's lots of times when I'm working, listening to jazz, and I zone out. But with this album, it draws you in. You almost have to listen to it reverently. I think Aunt Des would like this album. She said she'd never listen to jazz because she's not a jazz fan. But I bet if Uncle Ernie put this album on for Aunt Des, she would like it.
I'll try to remember that because a week from Friday we're going to have lunch with them. Try to remember that to play Take Five. She might already know it, but be that as it may.
I'm trying to make her a convert. I'm trying to make her a jazz convert. She looked at me in the eye and said, "I'll never listen to jazz."
Bet. I'm gonna send you Gregarian's point of view. 7 Days of Falling.
So, all right. So it's recognizable. We would do first time listener. What else do we talk about?
Dad, we've kind of dominated. Would you first time listener? You really are my first time listener.
Yeah.
What was your impressions? Other than the rating that you brought up, tell me about the album from your vantage point.
Well, it feels like something I can listen to, and I don't have to feel pressure, stress. I can just relax in it. I can let the music flow into my ears, and it just a very calming kind of thing. And the rhythm, of course, I love the rhythm of the album, and all the pieces playing together, and of course Brubeck and the piano style that he has is just, it's impeccable, and you can listen to it over and over and over again. You won't get tired or weary of a force that you're driving, and you begin to feel anxious, like some albums have done for me. It can be soothing and just calming. So, yeah, I just really obviously love this album. So, and I don't understand 9/8 and 16/4, but you don't have to. Like you said, I appreciate that. You don't have to. You can just let the music play.
But it does catch your attention in Blue Rondo when it goes from 9/8 to 4/4. Mm-hmm. You go, wait, is this a different song? Mm-hmm. No, it's the same song. It just shifted gears a moment. There's another one where he shifts from 3/4 to 4/4. So you go from a waltz to a standard 4/4 time. And so that catches your attention. You go, wait, what did I just hear? What did I witness? What am I feeling? So you may not understand it, but the emotion of it you feel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of pop artists today. There's no time change in their music today. It's all straight 2/2 or 4/4 all the way through. I'd like to see Taylor Swift do a song in 9/8. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah,
there you
right.
Go, Taylor. Tay.
Yeah.
That's your challenge.
Do a song in 9/8 and see what your listeners
triple dog dare you.
I'm also thinking of I'm also thinking of jazz artists today. They're still stuck in the standard 4/4, 3/4, 2/4 time constraints. I'd like to see some modern jazz artists.
Okay, that leads me to this. I'm not going to say that jazz is a sophisticated music, but you really do need the attention span to pay attention to it. You know, we move into free jazz, which was part of music for the musicians. We've moved through the easy listening stuff and the cool jazz, but you start changing time signatures and you wonder, is it for the musicians or is it for an audience? Who is this for? And at the end of the day, you really do have to pay attention to the music, reverently or respectively, or just pay attention. And we don't have time. Ain't nobody got a penny to pay attention anymore. So is it for smart people? I would almost say that it's for people that have a penny to pay attention. You don't need anything more than a penny, just a penny. So it's not sophisticated. It's not a smart people music, but it's for everybody if you just listen.
So a few of my final thoughts on the 99 list. I told you that Jazzwise put out a list in 99. They did a list in 06, and we're using the 2022 list. In 99, it was number 25 on the list. Now, I'm not mad about where it's at on the list. I wish it was number 90 on my list so that I could have had 90 more weeks to listen to it, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I got the rest of my life to listen to Time Out. On the 06 list, it moved down, I guess, to 18. Moved down to 18. And again, on this list, 2022, number 11. Drew, you and I, we didn't look ahead. We didn't know what was coming up. So when you turn that page and you think Dave Brubeck Quartet, we've probably heard the name, we probably heard the tune, but we didn't know what we were getting into on the Dave Brubeck Quartet. I'm sure that we texted right away, talked a lot about it. I made 3 notes the week that we did this on our journey. The first is a 1 4-letter word that I'm not going to say on the channel, but there's 3 or 4 exclamation points behind it. Just that
fudge.
No, it's not even that one. Nope. The second word that I wrote down was timeless. This album, made in 1959, sounds like it could have come out in 2025.
Yep.
It's just, to me, this album is timeless. There's no...
I had written vertical across all of my notes, timeless.
Okay. It could have been put out in 2025.
Yep.
The next and final note that I made was that this may be a palate cleanser for us before the top 10. Because we got, again, we didn't know what was coming up except, well, no, we still didn't know what was coming up until we finished talking about it and moved our page away for what's coming up next. But being timeless and a palate cleanser for what's coming up next.
Yeah.
So those are some of my notes from the week that we did it. Now, being a timeless album, you could almost say it sounds new. But Dad, why don't you tell us?
Hey,
Tell
what's
us
new?
What's new?
Yes, let's get into what's new. The album I chose this week is My Life Matters by Jonathan Blake. And let me read what I found here. It's a musical suite that often oscillates between 2 opposing forces, present and future, tragedy and hope, reality and conception. And it's known for pushing the boundaries musically, whether it is with groups or like Robert Glasper Experiment or numerous other projects for film. So Jonathan makes a statement from get-go. And a lot of the statement has to do with the injustices that Black men have faced over the years. And he's experienced a lot of pushback, a lot of injustice, and so, as well as his family. So he's part of a musical family, and he brings that whole musical family kind of aura and atmosphere into this album. And so I really would recommend this. It was recorded and produced September of this year. So just a couple of weeks away when it first came out on the Blue Note label. Again, My Life Matters by Jonathan Blake. Old man, new music. Comments?
Drew, did you get a chance to listen to it?
I did. I really loved the music. I really dug where he was going. The fact that he's a drummer and a composer, very rare to see the drummers composers combo, but not uncommon. So to hear the musical suite that he put together was just really phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of story behind it, a lot of story
Yes.
in it.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Wynton Marsalis, Cassandra singing Blood on the Fields.
Yep.
I think that was the name of it. So had a very powerful message behind it as well as. And I did read something, Dad, that it was actually a commissioned piece as much as his personal composition. So to know that it was requested and that was like Maria Schneider, Data Lords, a commissioned piece by somebody to help explain, express, and fight for these causes. So I love the album. I love the history and the story behind it and the fact that it's new.
The other thing you mentioned about artists that are comparable would be Coltrane and the Alabama track. And I happened to listen to that this afternoon. And I think, obviously there's a connection there with Coltrane and Jonathan Blake. So, yeah, Matt, did you get much of a chance?
I listened to the whole album twice this week.
Yeah.
So I really like it when you text those out at the beginning of the week, so that we do get a good chance to fit the music in. Yep, I enjoyed it musically as well.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Well, shift
Good.
gears. Daddy, your vocals are warmed up. Other than the great music, what's been going on in your world?
Yeah, so a lot has been going on besides listening to Brubeck and Jonathan Blake. I listened to the album with Gary Mulligan, listen to that track. So that's a big deal. Lady D came over last week and we had a lesson. She's not able to do that this week because she went through some dental work. I listened to Gravity again by Ledbetter, which doesn't break our heart, does it?
No,
Listen to that.
no.
So something completely away from music, but I was doing some study and I happened on a video by Flip Wilson playing Geraldine. Again, completely away from music, but the devil made me do it, and as he plays that out, it's hilarious.
That's
Just hilarious.
The devil made me buy this.
And we were doing a Bible study, and it happened to fit in. I didn't play the clip for the group, but I mentioned it to them, and everybody could, because we're pretty much the same age. Everybody related to Flip Wilson and Geraldine. So, that's. Otherwise, I've been kind of occupied with what's happening medically for me and people reaching out. And I had breakfast with your brother this morning at his motel. And he thanked me for buying his breakfast for him. So,
Oh, Mustafa.
yes, I love that brother.
Another mother.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
But a
loves.
brother, a true brother, all the
Yeah.
same.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. So, yeah, that was a beautiful time that we had this morning having breakfast at his motel. So he manages. It's not his, but he manages it. So there you go. There you have my week pretty much.
Matt, what about you?
Well, Dad forgot to say that he got to see Lady D perform, so we went out to a bar, and she was playing with Mike Neglia and the Nobles. It was supposed to be a release party for Mike. Now Delaney didn't get to record with Mike, but she's the new drummer, so she was at the party. So we got to see Lady D performed on Friday night, along with Brubeck. Again, I just had a lot of music in my ears. Esbjorn Svensson came this week. I needed some Gagarin's point of view. We got some other big news in the music world, that Rush is gonna start a tour again, of course, without Neil Peart. But I did follow Anna, the new drummer, Annika Niles. She's a German drummer that the boys picked to fill Neil's shoes in the band. There's 7 tour dates. Chicago is one of those dates. I'm just saying, me and Delaney are probably going to go. Another big news. There's a TikTok artist that I follow, and he's doing a follow-up to The Devil Went Down to Georgia. He wrote a song. Johnny passes away. He goes to hell and meets the devil. The devil says, "We're going to fiddle again. If you lose, I get you and all of Georgia." And of course, Johnny, got to see if Johnny wins. But I just love watching it. It fuels my soul every morning when I watch the new. He's looking for a new fiddle player to play on the album with him. So it's fun to hear people's different takes. He's got his track already cut, and he's letting the fiddle players do their thing. If you like The Devil Went Down to Georgia, check him out on TikTok. Anyways, that's a sidetrack. Just Brubeck in my ear this week. I didn't stray much. I didn't even put on Maria Schneider this week.
Whoa.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
that's a big deal.
So my up,
Yep, you're up.
I'm back to doing this thing, so that I can tell you about my week a little bit better. What are some things that stand out? My week in music, and what have I learned more about listening or just life in general? Learning songs on Sunday, learning to teach, learning this interview process, which has been a fun story to unpack with the gentleman. So I'm an interviewer. I'm now a teacher. Continue to do podcasts on jazz, and I continue to learn jazz. Giving back, I've been able to give back for Sunday nights and do some organizational stuff to help out Joe in our Sunday night stuff. And then challenging, I've got to shoot more because I got to have footage for kids to edit, video and stills. So I'm shooting more and I'm practicing more because I have more time in the morning after drop off and before my 11 o'clock. And I've had to learn to be patient with myself because that is a major ordeal. But this week I've had an opportunity in the mornings to sit and edit photos or get video clips out for the students to edit. So I've had Brubeck. I've had Rush, Hemispheres, the 40th anniversary, Blues and the Abstract Truth, Art Blakey, Moanin'. I've gone through that twice. I've hit Love Supreme. I went to the Chill from Lynn Roundtree, Gargarian's Point of View, of course. Happy Horns from Clark Terry, love it. And then Dad's Album of the Week. I ended up stuck on Sketches of Spain. Couldn't get away from it. I love that album.
Not a bad choice at all.
And then, of course, the big one that hit me was the 1971 Dave Brubeck at Newport Jazz with Jerry Mulligan. And I got stuck on that until this morning, and then Impressions of New York, Impressions of Japan, the Berlin Jazz Festival, which Dave Brubeck was awesome. So I've had a full week of all kinds of things going on. So it's been a great week. Been a really great week.
I forgot to mention Dave Brubeck live at Carnegie Hall. Oh,
I need to see that. I need to check that out. Carnegie Hall.
Check that out.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll like it.
A fire hose would not have been big enough this week to get all of Dave Brubeck into my ears.
No.
I mean,
it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I was sprinting for the next album every moment of every day. It was one of those deals where left ear and right ear, I could have albums coming from both sides and not get enough Dave Brubeck.
That's right. That's right.
So we're shifting into next week's album.
Yes.
And just quickly, I mentioned it because I ended up listening to it, watching Ravi playing a soprano sax. Ravi Coltrane, the son of John Coltrane, next week.
Yep.
A Love Supreme. I was so excited. I didn't pay any attention earlier this week to the album or the magazine. So I'm like, well, I guess I ought to prepare for slides and all that. And I'm like, ooh, this is awesome. So this week, number 10, we're in the top 10, y'all. 90 weeks later, 89 weeks down, 90 weeks down now, number 10 is John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. McCoy Tyner on piano. Jimmy Garrison on bass. Elvin Jones on drums. I mean, just what a power-packed quartet of musicians that is. This was recorded.
I forget. Have we heard McCoy Tyner before?
I'm sure maybe once or thrice.
Once or twice on our journey.
Once or thrice. So recorded the 6th and 9th of December, 1964. A Love Supreme. We'll have to get into more about that discussion later, but that is next week's album, Love Supreme.
Excellent. Looking forward to
it. It went by too quick. I'm gonna miss Dave Brubeck this week. There are weeks when we get to the end of the week and I think, okay, finally I can move on to next week's artist and not be done with, but take a break from. I hope that I never take a break from Dave Brubeck ever.
This had been one of those good weeks where we said, hey, by the way, let's not record yet. Let's drag this on an extra week. That would have been Dave Brubeck.
That would have been, yes, for sure.
Well, we could, after number one, we could go back and highlight another Brubeck.
Well, with 125 albums from Dave Brubeck, we got 2 years worth of conversations weekly on just Dave Brubeck albums.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and all of them would be just great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John Coltrane in our ears for next week. Love Supreme. You guys put that in your ears as well. Drew, why don't you tell them where they can find us?
Thanks for joining us on the YouTube channel, which is really what I focus on for the Spotify, for the Amazon, and for the iTunes podcast. Thank you all for joining that. The podcasts have been a big hit and continue to be a big hit over in Europe. The YouTube comments that we're getting from overseas as well. Thank you for tuning in. They're getting a little bit long, but we are in the top 10 now. And so we've got a lot to say about these things. So thanks for joining us. Go over to the website to see the list. Matt has put together the 2022 list that came from Jazzwise Magazine. We've also got the 06 and the 1999. You can find that at theunconnoisseur.com. Thanks again for tuning in at all these local places. Jump into TikTok and watch what Matt's doing. So thanks for joining us, y'all. Until we get to talk about John Coltrane, please go listen.
A la Turk.
Auf Wiedersehen.